What made me want to come back? I think I remember John pitched me the opening of the film, and we had both been a bit reluctant about trying to make a second one. But it was just an undeniable idea. And so I think I love this character, I love this family, and I love seeing them tested to the limits like the expansion of this world was bound to. It was never in the picture. I mean, it was never even discussed until the film came out, and it was obvious that people loved it and wanted to know what happens next. But even then, we were really reluctant to sort of entertain the idea of doing another one. And then I think ultimately it just came down to that John had this idea that he couldn't shake and felt he needed to do it. Evelyn is now completely alone and has 3 children, one of whom is a newborn baby. No home, no husband. Where does she go? Who's going to help her? What's she going to do? And enormous pressure is put on her shoulders to try and keep these kids alive. And I think she's someone who would ferociously go to the ends of the earth to protect her family. And this is what you're going to see in the second one. Some of the new dangers are really, the people that they encounter, as well as the further exposure to the creatures, because they've lost their home and their safe haven, and they were living in a very specific way that enabled their survival, and now that's been stripped away from them. So in the first one, if you're introduced to how did the Abbott family survive this and thrive to a certain level, you see how other people coped under in this harrowing environment. You see that fractured sense of community, that idea of not extending your hand to your neighbor. And here she is in a position where she desperately needs help. I mean, I think John always wanted to do something visually more ambitious and even more sort of high octane than the first film. And we had these extraordinary set pieces that he wrote, and then we managed to find locations for them in Buffalo, which really offered us these enormous abandoned industrial buildings, steel mills, coal mines, and that apocalyptic feeling that a lot of those abandoned industry buildings have. And he'd written these extraordinary set pieces that seemed impossible, and somehow they were completely realized by the incredible production designer, by the camera department. And John's vision for this was bigger. I think as the family ventures out, the world has to expand too. Well, I think you'll expect the same sort of muscular, tense, horrifying experience that the first one offered you. But I think if you have any investment in these characters whatsoever, you're going to feel very emotional for them going into this part 2, where the stakes are heightened exponentially for them. And so I think what I've gathered from people who sort of loved the first one is that they find this one actually very emotional, like watching these kids and this mother try to survive.
Hey guys, here's a little known fact about Emily Blunt. Now, most people know that Emily is married to A Quiet Place co-star John Krasinski, but not as many people know that she was in a relationship with singer Michael Bublé for 3 years until 2008. Bublé wrote his hit single Everything for her, and she even features on his album Call Me Irresponsible, singing at the end of the track, Me and Mrs. Jones. Do you like my shirt? You can get one for yourself in the link in the description.